Right, so we continue to recognize the 96th birthday of President Kenneth Kaunda, who's known affectionately as KK, and of course his iconic white handkerchief that he carried in his hand for so long. Well, we're joined now via Skype by international relations consultant Dr. Charles Sinkala. Thanks so much indeed for joining us. Welcome to the program. Like you, many of us have lived through a lifetime where President Kaunda was the head of state in Zambia and doing so many things across the continent. How are you remembering him today as he celebrates his 96th birthday?
Thank you, Peter, for having me, and good afternoon to your viewers. Dr. Kenneth Kaunda is one of the kind Africa has produced as one of the leaders. Dr. Kenneth Kaunda, when you think about him, you think about the hope, that's created amongst others who fought the liberation of Africa. And I think we've got so much resources in terms of leadership in Africa that we look up to, and Dr. Kenneth Kaunda is one of them.
So what I'm just trying to get to the qualities that he possessed through his time in office and for the years after, before kind of retiring. What was it about him, do you think, that kind of set him apart and made him the person that a lot of people went to for mediation and coordination?
I think what we must establish by his leadership has been as a result of his upbringing from his parents. Dr. Kaunda migrated from Malawi with his parents who were missionaries. His father was a teacher, and I think his mother was a teacher also. By Luma Mission there, then he got established. And I think his upbringing has had to do to a larger extent of who he had become after his parents. Dr. Kaunda, was one of the people, first people actually who were introduced in the liberation of Africa. And I think we had to target those people educated and who had the passion. And I think him firstly being a Secretary General for African National Congress, the ANC, which is in South Africa now, gave him a latitude, to participate in politics. And I think at that time he was chosen over another leader there who was Hari Mwangankumbula, who was actually, about to be the leader of the United Independence Party, the party which liberated Zambia. But except he had challenges of humanizing and alcohol and all those types of things. And I think Dr. Kenneth Kaunda had a chance. And, one thing we must learn from him is that the passion of humanity, And I think to an extent, when you talk about his governance as president of Zambia, he sacrificed quite a lot in terms of liberating the rest of the continent. And, he helped most of African continents, which were African countries, which were struggling at that time. And I think, for the hope that maybe one day Africa will be, like a United States of Africa, for all the 55 states welded together. I think that was an ideology because he was one of the pioneers from the Organization of African Union, Unity rather, where he was a chairperson at one time. And I think because of the oppression from the colonizers and colonialism, the ideologies were hidden, and most people who came out from there did not do what the agreement was. And the one thing we must realize, Dr. Kenneth Kaunda is the last surviving icon of the frontline state.
Yeah. Talking about the frontline states, I mean, he had to be brave as well, because he allowed many liberation movements in the region to settle and set up in Zambia. And at times, the military of these countries came into Zambia, causing harm. So not afraid to protect, even if it meant coming under fire.
Yes, definitely. You can remember very well in the 80s, Lusaka was bombed, including Mongo. One of the bridges in Zambia was bombed by then the apartheid regime because he was keeping the South African politicians like Tambo and many others, including Nelson Mandela at one stage, because Zambia was like an epic center for Central and Southern Africa for the liberation, and most of these leaders had to seek refuge into Zambia, and they never feared, it is surprisingly. And at that time, Zambia never even had that military power, but as a Christian, he believed in himself, and he believed in the liberation of the rest of the African continent. So he went in there, and he assisted most of the African leaders, to seek refuge in Zambia. I read the statement from the African National Congress Secretary General F. Magashule this morning, where he mentioned that the African National Congress, had the head office in Zambia, for nearly 30 days, until the office couldn't continue, and they still give him that high regard, but I hope we had so much participation from him as a leader and a head statesman, to be involved, because post his leadership in government as president of Zambia, he succumbed to so much humiliation, and he was never involved. And when I visit him all the time, he still thinks that, we haven't carried on the ideology of their leadership.
All right, Dr. Sinkala, we're going to have to leave it there, but thanks so much indeed for sharing your thoughts with us on this incredible man of the continent who turns 96 today. Thanks so much indeed for your time. Zikomo Kwabiri.